Oh yeah, let's give it a go.
Sick. Have you ever done these kind of like type of podcasts like this before?
Yeah, I've done a couple of podcasts before. I haven't done them live though. Usually, like we'll record, chop up, and then put out like clips, you know.
Yeah.
So, but let's give it a go. See how it goes, man.
I see like Fresh and Fit and whatever do it, and then people go live and then they do the live donation. So I'm trying to get on that like a live thing. I just think it's such a good format.
Sure, it's good. Start doing live. I like the old format of just
Oh, it
like
works, dude. It's totally live. Yeah, we're on. Let me just post it on my story in a couple of group chats, and then we can get going.
great.
Content here. Awesome. Dope. That's good. And we're shot. All right, sounds good. I've never done a live. I don't know how many people will join, but I guess it'll be a good test. Yeah.
Yeah, let's give it a go, man.
Cool. So hey guys, this is Kyle Fall. I'm just doing a podcast with I guess you go by Malcolm Charles on Instagram, and then he's a NYC promoter. Can you I guess introduce yourself, tell the people what you do and what you're about?
Yeah, what's up, guys? My name is Malcolm Charles. I basically just make videos and throw parties. Got my start on social media, just making a lot of content about going out and just what nightlife is like in New York City, and then naturally progressed into people asking me for recommendations and advice about going out in New York City. And from there, I was like, instead of sending people to parties that I can't necessarily tell you if it's good or bad, I might as well just take that power into my own hands and just try to throw the parties myself. And that essentially just developed into what is now my 2 and 2 group, which is my 18 plus nightlife organization, and now recently my 21 plus organization, which is called Dragonfly Hospitality.
Awesome, dude. How long have you been doing it like officially as a business type thing?
Yeah, so 2 and 2 group started just about 7 months ago, and then Dragonfly Hospitality officially launched like just about a month ago. Now we have deals at a bunch of different venues across New York City, and then with 18 plus venues, we have a bunch of we just do events every single week, big parties that we create ourselves. We have our own team of promoters, and we just take over venues and do parties like that.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm not a promoter myself, but a lot of my friends are. My buddy Lucas got into it basically like I'm part of like or I used to be mainly part of like the pickup community. So just like going around talking to girls doing this. And then some of my guys, yeah, they figured out like, why are we doing this for free? So they started just like inviting girls to like parties and clubs, and then they started paying them. And then, yeah, here in Toronto, we have a big street called King Street. That's where all the big venues are. And then, yeah, they have a couple contracts at this place called Century. So now, yeah, they do the bottle service and stuff. And myself, I moved to Toronto only 3 years ago, because before that I was in this, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, Calgary.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, it's still a big city in Canada, but a lot of people don't know it. And then, dude, yeah, crazy story. I was like living with an ex-girlfriend. It got toxic, and then I moved there. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start fresh, like get into content production, meet some of the guys that I watched on like YouTube, and yeah, I started working and hanging out with one of them, Justin Mark, who's also like a dating coach and a club promoter. And then, dude, yeah, for me, it was so crazy because people don't talk about this. Like, I don't think I've ever heard of bottle service until like 3 years ago, and just like now that I kind of work in it, because I'm an events photographer. I started doing my own events too, but I kind of work like in between. So I started hearing about like like selling booze and like the bottles, like the spenders, like making money from the girls, like teams of promoters, and I was like, this is awesome. Like more people should know about this because it's just like not talked about.
Yeah, it's a fun world for sure.
Yeah. How did you get into it? You literally like just started going out, and then it just like happened like that.
Yeah, so essentially, like I moved to New York City just about 4 years ago for college, and then I just naturally was making videos. I had a media agency which would help me move here, and then I was working with a bunch of different companies and helping them with like just content. And during COVID, a lot of brands needed their way to go to online platforms and start online content. And my
Yeah.
background, I knew how to edit, take photos, and just do marketing. And so naturally, one of the companies which I took under my wing was a nightclub. And so we naturally started making some promo videos and recap videos and photos, and then I naturally got connected to a promoter here or there. And then naturally, that same exact time, coincidentally, just the content I was posting about going out and just rallying just started popping off on TikTok a little bit. And
Yeah.
then people started recognizing me at the clubs while I was doing photos and videos. And then that connected me with the club. And the rest is pretty much history, you know?
Dude, awesome. Um, you said you started doing media. Like, can I ask how old you are, by the way? You said you're in college.
Yeah, I'm 21. Yeah, I turned 21 in September.
Dude,
So
that's sick, dude. You're doing a lot. I'm older than you. I'm 28. I just got my start in the like hospitality scene now, but it's nice to see like younger people get into it because anybody can, right? To me, I see it as like,
yes,
yeah, learning to like add value and just grabbing the opportunity. And dude, I don't know how it works in New York, but in Toronto, like there's so much opportunity. Like a lot of these places, like they don't make that much money. If you're willing to like help out, shoot some stuff for them, give them some free marketing, like there's a way into a lot of these things, in my opinion. Yeah.
absolutely. It's super important, you know. So like my background is I started a clothing company when I was in high school. And in
Sick.
order to market that, I was just researching how to market it. And that's when I found like YouTube and how to make content and things like that. And then one thing led to another. And then I started making more and more content. And then that's when I basically took that skill. And when COVID hit, I was like, I can just sell this skill to other companies of how to market and brand because I did it for myself.
Yeah.
And then, very serendipitously, it all sort of came together at the same time.
Sick. And now, do you work like just by yourself, or do you work with like a team, or how does your
Yeah,
business
so
work
for
now?
so for in New York City nightlife, my 18 plus group, I have a co-CEO. We both run the company, and essentially like he's more hands-on with the events since I most of the time have to be at my 21 plus nightclubs. So he's more on the side of just making the events happen, overseeing it while he's there. And then we
Oh,
meet like, pretty much every single day, just coordinating how to make things happen. And then we have a team of about 15 to 20 promoters for all of our events who push ticket sales. And then we have a team of like 5 staff members and assistants that help us essentially just organize the events, make sure they run well. And then for my 21 plus group, Dragonfly Hospitality, with that, I have like 3 or 4 promoters that help me. Basically, I have them at different clubs in the city. And that's how we just throw our parties every single week. A lot of access, you know?
dude, that's sick. Can you talk more about? Because you just mentioned it. There's a difference in New York between 18 plus and 21 plus clubs. I'm assuming because you need to be 21 in the states to drink, right? Here it's 19,
Yeah.
but that's so interesting. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So in nightlife in New York City, it's pretty much like the standard is you have to be 21 plus to go out to nightclubs. But there's like 1 or 2 groups that were doing 18 plus, and then essentially we saw a gap in the marketplace where we're like, well, all these kids are 18 plus looking to go out, so we might as well just create a system and create their own little party series to where we can throw the parties for them in an 18 plus group, and then so they don't have to worry about going to 21 plus or using fake IDs or trying to get into these nightclubs. We can just create an environment, especially for college kids, to just party in the safe environment that we're curating ourselves.
Dude, that's awesome. Let me just stop 1 second. Let me check on my scene because I think I'm sharing the wrong one. Maybe 1 sec. Display capture. Beautiful. Here. Awesome. Do you mind? I'll send you this link on Instagram. Do you mind checking it and seeing if you will see yourself?
Yeah, let's see.
My bad. Yeah, I've not done one of these, but we'll cut it and make it work. This stuff.
Let's see it.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I think it's perfect actually. Awesome. Do you mind? I'll send you this link on Instagram. Do you mind?
There you go.
Dude, perfect. Cool. So yeah, you're saying the 21 stuff. I guess it makes sense. Yeah, people get fake ID and like, well, I've actually seen that in movies, and I heard of girls doing this stuff like that. Um, do you see like a lot of sketchy stuff around that, or how does it
I
work? Yeah.
think that whole like that culture of just like going out underage is super normalized in New York City, and I think in the states in general, And so we decided, let's try to take that away and sort of give them a better avenue and a better environment where they can be around the college kids and their own people their own age, not worry about like being 19 in a club with like 30, 45-year olds, just give
Yeah.
them a place with all college kids. And when you're bringing out college kids, they're all in one area. They all know each other, the same colleges, and just a good little community that we're trying to build. That's the point. But in 21 plus nightlife, it's pretty much standard that like all the nightclubs are only 21 plus. So
Mhm.
finding 18 plus deals to work with is always a little more difficult because there's more liability with the drinking and stuff like that. But if you can do it right, it's a very good opportunity, and that's what we're trying to really encompass.
Dude, awesome. How do you describe like the scene in New York? Because I've never been myself. I hear it's like, especially if you're on a network and find social circle, it's a bit more expensive. But is there like places that everybody can go to? I guess you mentioned there's like college bars and stuff, more like upscale lounges, big like clubs where you spend a lot. Like, I
Expensive.
guess you have
It's
everything.
it's very much pay to play.
Yeah.
I was just in Miami, and honestly, it was pretty much the exact same price to go out down there as it is up here. Expensive, regardless. As a promoter and working in nightlife, we have access to these venues at free cost to us, and getting paid to do it. But
Yeah.
if I was just like most of the guys that asked to come out, things like that, like the only way to get into some of my nightclubs is if you're buying a table or buying a bottle. And at some of these clubs, the bottle prices start at $800 each. So that's really it. Or buy a bar tab, and a bar tab minimum could start at $150. So
That makes
yeah,
sense.
it's pretty much like you need money to play out here.
Do make sense. What do you recommend then for guys that want to, I guess, involve themselves in the nightlife? Is that what you say? Like start working in it, or if they don't have the money, like how do you still go out in New York and have a good time if you're just the average dude?
Yeah, I mean, that's like my DMs are that's like a really common question. It's like, hey, just like a one guy just looking to like go out for the night. Just I'm visiting here. How can I go out and like not spend $300?
Yeah.
But I mean, nightlife wasn't meant for people that aren't spending. But that's the whole thing. There's bottle service for a reason. Like these nightclubs are upscaled. Like tables sell for $5,000, $6,000 each for a reason. So if you want to get involved and you want to have that experience, you have to be willing to pay that much. However, like there are some loopholes and ways to get around that, and a couple of them are obviously like if you can come with enough girls, girls are your way in pretty much everywhere. And then also if you're able to just reach out to the promoters, some of the promoters have guest lists and you can sometimes like pay them, or if you can sort of like tip them, or even they have tickets, and some venues have tickets that start at like $25 on like a Monday or Tuesday, and
Yeah.
they increase in price as you get closer to the day of the event, Friday or Saturday. So
Awesome.
be early, be proactive, and if you can find girls, have girls. That's the best advice I can give you.
So if a guy rolls up literally to a club with like 4 or 5 girls, you think he's gonna make it in, skip the line, and get in for free, that type of thing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, New York City, honestly, the barrier to entry in New York City is probably lower than it is to get into clubs in Miami. I think it's actually harder to get into Miami clubs than New York City clubs, at least in my experience. I was just there last week, and
Yeah.
when I was there, like I'm a promoter, I'm pretty connected in New York, but I went down there and I was like, hey guys, like I do this, this, and this. Like, can we connect? I can bring this many people out. It's not an issue. And it was just like, you can buy a ticket or you can buy a table, but that's really it. So I was like, damn,
No way.
humble.
I guess they take it seriously, dude. Miami's like the party capital.
It is, yeah, more than New York. I think New York, it's more around like maybe it's more around. I don't know what the difference is. Honestly, I couldn't really put my finger on it right now, but it's definitely a different culture out there.
Have you ever been on like the West Coast to like LA, Vegas, and those type of places?
Yeah. So I did LA I was in LA in May, and same thing. I was trying to go out, made some connects out there, and
Yeah.
I think it's a little easier out there. I met some promoters, and they were able to get us in some places, but um, I wasn't even 21 yet, so
There you
with no
go.
with you can't really use fake IDs out there at some of those venues. So I was just like pretty shit out of luck. But I do want to go back to LA, and we're gonna take a trip out there. I think in the next like 2, 3 months.
Yeah.
So when we do it again, gonna make some more connects. Hopefully expand the companies out there. Make some friends, throw some parties, and have a good time.
Fuck yeah, dude. Are you mostly in nightlife then for like the money, the social life? Do you do it for like the dating life? Do you enjoy dating around, sleeping around? Like, what's your case in this?
Yeah, so when it comes to like business, I just like business in general. Like I said, I was 17, I started my first clothing company, and then 18, I started my media agency. And now that I'm 21, I sort of got into nightlife, like I said, in a very random way. But my passion has always been making videos.
Oh,
So I
sick.
sort of just do nightlife as an avenue to like be in the social scene and get connected. And then with that just comes, whatever I sort of want it to. I like being social. I like talking to people, making friends, making people feel connected. And I do
Yeah.
that through videos, through sharing my experiences, and then through the events. Obviously, we just connect people and have them give a good time. The best compliment is like we all felt safe and had a great time at your event. And that's really why I do it. The money comes and goes in whatever industry I want to pursue. I can make money in it. But I mean, it's kind of hard to complain about, throwing parties, getting paid to do it, hanging out with really pretty people, making really cool friends. And I get to I hire all my friends, so I can't complain about anything I do.
Makes sense. Do you think that's funny that you say hiring friends because I've started working with a lot of friends lately too. Because everyone, once you start making it about lifestyle and flashy things, people do want to get involved. But then I find like the work ethic and like a guy wanting free access versus like actually wanting to put the time in are two completely different things, you know?
They are, yeah, and with that comes very fast. You have to hire fast and fire faster. So sometimes like we'll try out a new videographer, a new photographer, and sometimes it's like we're on a very like fast schedule. So like we're out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all night from probably 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. like every single night, and people just naturally can't keep up with that lifestyle. It looks flashy on social media and it looks fun, but
Yeah.
when you're actually in it, like you have to be ready to rally, And like my friend group that I've been working with, like my inner core group, I don't change. Like we're all very like a very tight knit group, and I can trust them. But bringing in new people that see the end result of what we do, think it's attainable and it's something that they want to pursue. But when you're actually in the trenches with us, like trying to pull people last minute, trying to fill those guest lists, sell those tables and bottles, and just making these events all come together, it definitely gets a little taxing, and it's not for the faint of heart.
Which type of person or which type of guy do you think it is for then? That they're watching this, yeah.
I think it's the best. I think salespeople. Nightlife is a
Makes
sales job. You sell free experiences, which is very lucrative because if you're good at selling a free product, well, you can push that 1,000 times over. Like the way that I think if you're very like go getter, you should definitely be able to get into nightlife because there's no set guide on like do X, Y, and Z and you'll have this. It's more figure out how to get this happening and then everything will come later.
Awesome. Awesome. Dude, that makes sense. Yeah, sales is everything, right? Both in like I said, I have a seduction background thing. With women, it's the exact same thing. With I work with clubs too. With the video, same thing. Getting the people out is the same thing. Sales is just like people are very like people hate getting spending both their time and their money. In my opinion, if you give them a good offer, you can start to like leverage that and learn how to do it. But it's a beautiful art in my opinion. It's like social leverage, I guess you want to call it.
It is, like that whole socialite. You have to sell the idea of the socialite scene. You want to be where all the fun people are, all the famous people are. You want to be in the places that you can't or you're not supposed to be in. Like you have to sort of sell that lifestyle. And with that, it is flashy, it is expensive, so it is a pay to play type of scene.
Dude, awesome. Have you ever learned or had a mentor online or courses that you took, or you just kind of like figured it out all yourself?
Yeah, so like obviously I'm big into like I was in that whole 2016, 2017 era of just like those motivational YouTube videos every morning, like David Goggins, get after it, like stay hard. Like I love watching those motivational videos when I need to. But honestly, like I feel like they can only take you so far. And I just completed 75 hard. So with that, there was reading a book. Have you heard of 75 hard?
Yeah, yeah. The two
Yeah.
workout, the book, the yeah.
Yeah. So with that, naturally, I was finding more and more like influences for like positive like behaviors because when you're on such a track of like positivity and like feeling good, you find more things to surround yourself with that. And so
Yeah.
like I've been reading David Goggins, Jocko Willink, the neuroscientist from Stanford, and there's a couple other
Oh, Andrew
influencers.
Huberman maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, Huberman. Yeah. So just like reading a lot of just getting really involved in like learning is what I like, but you have to remember that it can only take you so far. You have to implement those actions. So as much as I've learned, I feel like for me the best way to learn is by failing and just trying stuff out. So that's the only way to do it.
Dude, yeah. I'm curious what you say about this one. Through during these type of events too, and especially having to like cater kind of like the guest list, you're in a kind of position where you have to like, I guess I would say rank people, right? You have like you need the hot girls for your party, the spenders and everything. Do you find like maybe there's the average guy, or usually it's guys that don't offer much value, like people that just maybe like just think it's enough to have their little job, but then they can't even afford to go out in their own city, especially more and more the economy is going down, right? So it's not because you have a job that you can to have a thriving dating and social life. Like good luck. So in my opinion, like doing stuff like business entrepreneurship, it's not a luxury. It's kind of you have to unless you're going hard in some crazy career. Like you're just gonna be left behind. In my opinion, like do you feel the same way, or what do you see in New York? Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I've always worked for myself. I've been very grateful to always have like the my dad owned a business, so that was all I saw growing up was own your own business, work for yourself, never work for somebody else. And you see the hardships of your parents struggle, and you sort of never want to mimic that for yourself and for your own family as you're going to grow.
Big
And
time.
so for me, it was always just, it wasn't like even an option or an interest to work for anybody else. So it was always just, start young, figure out, fail young, and just always do right by everyone around you, and naturally everything will come. With the money and all those things, like I just happen to be in a flashy lifestyle because of what I do. But I mean, money comes, but making a good life does not revolve around your income. It revolves around the people, the relationships you have, and just the quality of life you try to experience.
Makes sense. So you think that even guys that can't, what would you say to the guy that can't afford to go out to all these parties and he's trying to somehow like network in New York? Like if you don't have access to that, you don't have access. I guess entrepreneurship would be another circle. Even if you're a broke business guy, maybe you can network with other people. But like,
Yeah, I mean, I think just there's always free events. There's free events everywhere. You can always just if you're truly trying to get into the scene and just make connections and make friends, like the best way to do it is social media. Like you can go on your phone and just connect with everybody. It's how we connected. Like we
literally, yeah.
didn't meet out at a nightclub. It's how 95% of all the deals that I have is from people just DMing me or messaging me or emailing me and offering deals. Every single brand deal I've ever done was all through email. Every single relationship at a new venue or nightclub has all been through DMs. And that's the only way to do it. You don't need to have money and be in those places. You need to just sort of have a social media presence to where you sort of like and have a good grasp of what you look like on social media. And then naturally you'll attract those right people in your circle.
Do you often see guys that like maybe ask you to come to one of your parties and their social media is just like so atrocious or almost creepy even then you're like, fuck no, bro, there's no way.
All the time. Yeah, all the time. I probably right now probably get about 200 DMs a week for people wanting to go out to my personal account. And you have to sort of weed through that and find people that because also at the same time, like you sort of have to be limiting with who you're going to allow into the venues and who you're even going to be selling to and entertaining conversations with.
Yeah,
Because like at the end of the day, people that are going to spend are the ones that are going to provide you value, ultimately, unfortunately, whatever you want to call it. So it's like if I'm getting 100 DMs from guys that I just sort of can tell just from DMing so long, I sort of know who's going to want to spend, who wants to go out, who just wants to get in for free and use me. So just being able to weed that process out is just is what we have to do to ensure that everyone's like that. I can create the best time for myself and also create good experiences for other people.
dude, yeah, that totally makes sense. Do you only work in like nightlife, or do you work with like restaurants and other hospitality hotels and things like that for your media stuff?
Yeah, so I was just in so right now my main things that I do is social media and nightlife. So I was just at the Fontainebleau in Miami and they paid for our stay there for the week for spring break and just like shoot content, make a couple Instagram reels and TikToks and story posts and we just stayed there for the whole week with my boys for spring break. So that's really dope.
That's awesome. I'm trying to do the same thing actually because I'm a photographer by trade, literally Tinder photographer, and then I got into like doing videography for a club. And I'm thinking like, dude, I want to travel the world and see all these places. So yeah, combine the services, go into hospitality, shoot
Social
video.
media presence, it's all about how your social media looks. It's all about how much, like, whatever you want, you sort of have to put yourself in that position already. So say you don't have to be the most rich or the most famous or the best looking to sell that lifestyle that you don't necessarily have. And you have to fake it till you make it. A lot of people don't want to admit that, but I'm sure a lot of the influencers that you like, a lot of the celebrities that you like, are only doing things for clicks and likes and for the image that they have to obtain. So you sort of have to treat it as well because people aren't going to reach out to you if you don't align with their brand image. And even if you don't right now, you might later. So you sort of have to sell that image now.
100%. I think literally Drake. I think I was watching his interview. He was talking about he was renting this. I think literally this Rolls Royce before he even made it, and he had to look like the guy that made it. Otherwise, people wouldn't take him seriously, and he would have been like laughed out.
You do. It's very important. But when you do all those things, you have to also be putting in the work so that you can eventually make it. A lot of people just get caught up in the keeping up with the Joneses that they forget why they're doing it. So if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, then you're ultimately gonna fail. But like if you have to just, you have to sort of live that luxurious lifestyle if that's what you're trying to sell, a luxurious product. It's all marketing. Social media started out as just personal pages to connect with friends, but now it's a full business. And you have to sell that image that you want to be known for before you even have it, so you can get it one day.
Totally true. Do you have tips for people that are trying to get into just posting just reels on Instagram and stuff, starting to take it more seriously, maybe are intimidated and haven't done it before?
I think my best advice would honestly be just to start and don't think about the next week. Just think about today. Before I had like my followers and before I had like a system to where I know what's going to work for my own content, I was just scrolling on TikTok. I'd see a video that I sort of thought I could relate or spin in my own like content that I make. I would just make it. And then naturally, like you're just going to find what works for you, test, just make. and just make. And always just try to push out a lot of content because you don't know what quality looks like, but you do know what quantity looks like. So if you can just put out 100 videos, that 100th video is going to be much better than your first one, you know? And if you're just staying consistent every single day, just posting more and more content, eventually you're going to see this video worked, this didn't, and you can sort of compare. Just compare what worked, what didn't work, and try to repeat that. And as you do it more and more, you'll sort of refine it a little bit, 1%, 1%, 1%, until you're eventually at a place where you're like, okay, you know, like this isn't like I'm kind of okay at making videos now.
Oh yeah, dude, I totally agree. That's what I tell people. Like they're so, I have like clients that I teach like content production, and then they always overthink like the niche, the ideas, where this is going in 3 years. I'm like, bro, you've never posted a video. Just post one, man.
Yeah, like who knows where it can go? Who knows what will even come or what your brand will shift into? But you have time before you get there. Right now, you need to worry about getting 10 followers, not a million. So you have to break it down, make it very contextual because it's easy to get overwhelmed with seeing all these creators that have hundreds of thousands of followers. And even I myself, I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers, but I always feel sometimes intimidated about, oh, what's my content going to look like in a couple weeks from now for this deal, or how are we going to get it here? But then I look at sort of what I've done already and what I have, and I'm like, all right, well, you see this does well. How can we sort of tweak this and sort of push this stronger and make this better? And then naturally, the views will reflect that, and they will. Slowly but surely, it'll come.
Yeah, totally true in my experience. Yeah, in your take, do you think are you like optimistic on the future of social media? Do you think now is a good time to get into it, or is it over? People have missed their shot. Like people have different views. Like what's your take on it?
I think if you want to pursue it, you have to be willing to eat shit for it. You know, it's not going to be a fast track pace. It's not like TikTok in 2020,
Yeah,
where you could just, you know, be attractive, post a thirst trap, and get 100,000 followers overnight. I think it's important to just keep consistent and just know why you're posting and just keep consistent at it. Provide the most value. You know, the people that provide value are going to win. You just got to be consistent and let it happen.
dude, awesome. I like when you say value because TikTok like people piss me off when they say like social media is just like a waste of time and entertainment. It's like the most efficient way of communication literally humans have invented. You know, if you're trying to learn like how to connect with people, how to network in a new industry, waste their life. To me, that's like that's so funny to me. Like you're getting played by it. But if you're a serious guy or a serious girl, you're trying to make some serious move. Like you'd be like, thank fuck for Instagram and social media. Like it makes your life so much easier.
Absolutely, yeah, and not even like value. Value is not only like educational. You know, entertainment is value. You know, like making a funny video that people are able to share 500,000 times. That's valuable to someone. You know, like making
True.
people laugh. You have like entertain or educate. You know, those are the two ways to do it. And so sometimes my content is me telling you, here's your best recommendation on where to go out this week, or here's what you should wear to get increase your chances of getting to a nightclub. But sometimes it's just like, damn, like I got denied from this club. Here's how it happened. You know, and then like we're just making funny videos about being hungover or whatever it is, you know. Providing value can be done in a plethora of different ways.
That's true actually, because people like it is true that especially people are kind of like maybe depressed or like life is hard, man. So entertainment and both education to learn how to make life easier, but entertainment to cope with life and just a little good emotion like that does go a long
Sure.
way. Totally agree. Yeah, let me ask you a few more questions about nightlife because that's your thing, and then oh yeah, running out of time, so we can wrap it up in around 10 minutes. Um, do you see any trends for the future of nightlife? Things going in a different direction?
I think a lot of people right now, so a lot of DMs I've been getting have been revolving around like new ways to sort of do nightlife in terms of like selling bottles and selling tables and just making the process kind of more electronic and online. But honestly, I think that like there's always a saying that the longer a product's been in rotation, the longer it'll stay in rotation, you know? So it's
Interesting.
sort of
Yeah.
hard to change old ways because they're so effective
Yeah.
until like you're able to really like take it by the reins and do it yourself. But honestly, in nightlife, I think the trends are like I think the business model of using like promoters to bring girls and then guys will spend for the girls is sort of what's been working, and I don't know that it's gonna change. I think it works very well. But I'm seeing a lot more female promoters getting to the game and killing it, obviously. So I think that's going to be an upward trend, which is cool. It's great.
Awesome. Do you see maybe like more collaborations between cities? Because that's one of my thing. Like I like traveling, so maybe like deals between promoters between different cities. Like you're in NYC and Miami. Like do different promoters and maybe travel agencies collab, or do you see stuff like that happening?
Yeah. So right now, like my 2 and 2 group is expanding to Miami this weekend,
Oh
and
no,
so we're
it's
doing
sick.
events in Miami. And so naturally after Miami, you want to hit the other hub, which is LA, and then circle back. And then I have another meeting in Chicago for my 21 plus group in May. So being able to be like that connect for anywhere in the world is obviously the goal for anybody.
Yeah.
But with that comes a very strong, like you need a very strong management team. And I've seen so many people like so many promoters that are like, oh, I have connects here, here, and here, but they don't own it. They just know someone there. So being able to actually own the company that's putting people everywhere is what makes someone elite, and that's what makes a group elite. Ownership of everything and be able to control and actually make sure the quality of what you're doing everywhere is up to par. And that's why I started. I wanted to control the quality of events I'm putting out.
Yeah.
And so if you expand too fast, you sort of lose that value. So it's important to make sure that when you're expanding and you're going hub to hub and coast to coast, that you're able to keep that value and remember why you did it.
Right. So your plan for doing that, you're gonna have like one of your partners that you trust in Miami running it with you.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you jump to a new hub, it's always a risk. It's a gamble. You never know it's going to work out. But you sort of have to, you have to weigh the pros and the cons. You have to sort of, if you want to be ambitious, you have to understand that with ambition comes a price.
Dude, fuck yeah. Totally agree, man. Doing the same thing. Like, if anything, like the biggest risk is taking no risk. I believe capitalism is getting more and more competitive. Things are literally getting more expensive. If you're not making big moves, you're becoming more irrelevant by the day.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious of this one. Have you ever heard of something in the nightlife or someone proposing something like a healthy alcohol for bottle service, or like kind of a healthy alternative for like nightlife? Because that's the one thing right now, like health stuff is popping off. How do we make that health? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this person on TikTok called Absence of Proof. And essentially they do zero proof alcohol events. So like mocktail events. And I found them when they were like at
Awesome.
maybe 5,000 followers. And now they're like insanely across all the United States. Events everywhere, every single major city. It's amazing to see it. It shows there's very much a clear need for low alcohol or zero alcohol events. And I was sober for the last 3 months. Last week was my first weekend drinking in all of 2024. So, I mean, I went out and obviously it's difficult to stay sober, but I had a good community around me. But if I wasn't sober, I mean, I wouldn't be in the nightlife space. It's sort of a space where you're sort of allowed to indulge in those vices. So I'm not sure that being sober and nightlife align, because it's sort of like you sort of want to be able to indulge in those vices when you go out. But, as we see, it's clearly working with Absence of Proof and these zero proof mocktail events. So I'm excited to see where it goes as this whole healthy trend continues.
Dude, I'll check that out. Actually, that's interesting. My idea was that, yeah, if somehow like, I'm a big tech nerd, so like with biotech and stuff, if we can bioengineer like healthy alcohol and then a healthy vape or something, that'd be
Yeah,
dope.
I mean, there's also low proof alcohol as well. So like most tequilas or vodkas are 40 proof, so this one's
Yeah.
20 proof. So it's only 10% alcohol.
Dude, yeah. If it got the similar effect and it was just like less bad for you, I think people would go for that.
But you got to remember, people are spending money on it, so you sort of want the effect of alcohol. So why would you want a lower amount of alcohol in it?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting space that will have to be navigated. But I mean, I think that, there's always opportunity for more. So we'll see where it goes.
Dude, yeah. That's interesting. And then what about yourself? If there's one thing you could change about like nightlife, yeah, how would you make it different?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna change it. I mean, we got to get rid of
Okay.
all those shitty promoters, and that's what I'm doing. I don't like promoters that are greedy. I don't like promoters that are sexist or just try to make our douchebags. I hate all of that. That's why one of my main pushes for working in nightlife is to, get all those people that were always rude and assholes when I was coming up and just, show them that you don't got to do it like that. And there's much better ways to go about working in nightlife. And there's ways to be inclusive while still creating an exclusive event, you know? And just creating an inclusive environment where everyone feels welcomed and no one's feeling like left out or excluded, but being able to create really high quality events that don't have to be run by people that have huge egos. And so getting rid of all those people is the goal, and we're going to do that by just bringing in really good people and working together and being in calls every day where we're trying to figure out how can we make this party more fun, how can we make sure that everyone at our table is happy, how do we make sure that no one's in the corner feeling left out, how do we bring them in, and just scanning our environment. So all those little tweaks and tricks is what's really important to my group and what we're doing. And so I think that that's really important, at least for me, just creating more inclusive events and making sure people feel welcomed and not like shameful or like insecure when they go out.
Dude, awesome. I love that because, yeah, nightlife has maybe a bad reputation. And I've heard some crazy stuff happening, but it doesn't need to be that way, It can just be a fun
Yeah,
time for everyone.
just people with their egos taking advantage of other people. And so if you can sort of I plan to fix that and make much more inclusive events to where people can feel it's a safe and fun environment just for fun. There's no ego attached to it.
Awesome. Yeah, last question, I guess. If you do you have any recommendations for people coming to check out New York, both in terms of nightlife, restaurants, things to do? Like, what would you tell people?
Yeah, I would tell you guys to check me out on Instagram at Malcolm X Charles and on social media. And you'll see all my recommendations for what anybody wants. I think it's definitely a per person thing, based on if it's a group of guys, how much they want to spend, if it's a group of girls for a bachelorette party or just a night out. I think there's so many different avenues and places to go in New York City that you sort of have to just get a good idea of what that person's looking for, individually speaking, and then you can easily recommend a lot of things like that. But if anybody's ever in New York, of course, feel free to reach out to me or my team, and we'll take care of your whole experience.
Perfect, bro. I appreciate you taking the time, and then yeah, awesome call. If I'm ever in New York, I'll
Awesome,
check you
brother.
out too, and then yeah, enjoy your week, brother.
Thank you. This was fun.
All right, take it easy, man. Dude, awesome. Yeah, thanks to Malcolm, and thanks for you guys for checking in. This was very insightful, and then hopefully you guys enjoy. We'll do some more of these.